everybody, it's me, Bryson Booker, and it's time for another BBTV 90s movie, or I guess you could say direct-to-video release review, just for you. And so today, I'm going to be reviewing Muppet Classic Theater. Now, I kind of have a secret crush on the Muppets. You know, they've been in my life for years. They've really been in everyone's life, well, except these 21st century kids with their phones and texting and Facebooking and all, you know. I mean, there's barely a Muppet in their lives. But in the lives of any Gen Xer or, you know, even baby boomer, you know, the Muppets were in your life at some point or another, you know. And they were definitely in my life. And truthfully, this release has been in my life ever since I was like 2. But I have never seen it before until literally this Saturday. Well, last Saturday. I watched it finally. The promo for Muppet Classic Theater is included on the 1994 VHS release of Disney's The Brave Little Toaster. Okay, so I've had that VHS for a long time, and I recently got rid of it like 1 or 2 years ago. I know I'm feeling sorry about it now. I'm regretting it now. But included on that VHS was the promo for Muppet Classic Theater. Well, you know, I loved seeing the promo as a kid. You know, it would be one of my favorite promos before, obviously, the real movie would start. But I've never actually watched the special until recently. And so I said, you know, it popped into my head, and I was in a weird place. I was in the shower. I'm like, you know, I'm going to watch something Muppet-ish because I've never seen something Muppet-ish in a while. And so I was taking my shower, you know, washing my hair, washing my, you know, body. And it's like, Muppet Classic Theater will fill the void just perfectly. And guess what? It did. And so here it is. Basically, Muppet Classic Theater was released in September of 1994. It was a direct-to-video release, released by Jim Henson Home Entertainment, who at that time in 1994 was doing multiple Muppet releases direct-to-video. You know, you had Muppet Classic Theater, you had those Muppet sing-alongs, you had Meet the Muppets, you had all of these direct-to-video specials released by Jim Henson Entertainment, particularly aimed at younger children, but Muppet Classic Theater is one of those specials where both kids and adults will love it just as much. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It features Muppet performers Brian Henson, Frank Oz, you know, the late, great Frank Oz, rest in peace, who obviously provides performances for Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear, as well as some other great Muppet performers that exist throughout the special. So basically, it's a fairy tale showcase. Basically, the Muppets tell their version of legendary folk fairy tales. And it's hosted by the dynamic duo themselves, Gonzo the Great and Rizzle the Rat. The same duo who told the Charles Dickens story A Christmas Carol from the Muppet Christmas Carol that was released in 1992. So basically, the dynamic duo are back together again, and they're basically telling, introducing the stories and starring in the stories themselves, you know, as characters throughout the entire program. You know, and you know that's really the format, you know. There's basically the stories, and then Rizzo and Gonzo will come back with their final comments about what just happened in the story, and then they'll go on to the next story. So, the stories that are performed in Muppet Classic Theater are as such. There are 6 stories in total. You know, basically, 6 fairy tales with a Muppet twist. And so, we got The Three Little Pigs, that's the first one. King Midas, you know, about basically Kermit the Frog plays this king who can turn everything to gold, and he has to try to undo his Midas touch. We have The Boy Who Cried Wolf, starring Gonzo the Great. Who else? We have Rumpelstiltskin, also starring Gonzo. The Emperor's New Clothes. This is the only one that stars Fozzie Bear in it, but, you know, the Emperor changes. He doesn't, you know, he wants new clothes, basically. And then The Elves and the Shoemaker. Or I guess a subtitle for that last one would be The Elvis Shoemakers. But it's basically called The Elves and the Shoemakers. And basically, all of these fairy tales are basically told as, the original story, but just with that Muppet twist. And, every time they put a Muppet twist on something, it seems to be more enjoyable than the original version. And I can say that about these stories. They're enjoyable. It's like, it's something that you wouldn't expect from a direct-to-video release. You kind of expected, I kind of, went into it expecting, fairy tales, it's going to be aimed at kids. Like, it's going to be all cheesy, and there's going to be songs, and, But, honestly, the stories themselves, each story does have one song, but, they're actually pretty creative and pretty catchy. They're not annoying and cheesy and obnoxious. The songs are there, but they're used for the right purpose, which is basically to enhance what's going on in the environment in the fairy tale. They're not just put there to say, here's a song, sing along. They're actually put there to enhance and make the story more fun and more enjoyable. And that's exactly what the songs do. But like I said, this is the kind of program that you would expect to be on TV. And if it was shown on TV today, it would be like, this was not a VHS release. But then you look on Wikipedia and look on the Muppet website, and it's like, darn, it was. And it's hard to believe because they put their foot in this special. It's definitely a good special. The way the stories are executed are simplistic, and the way that the Muppet performers portray these stories is even better. They don't try to overdo it with comedy or try to overdo it with more story. It's kind of in the middle that makes it just enjoyable for everyone. So, it's nice and innocent for the kiddos, but it's not too boring and unattractive for adults. It's for families. Everybody can watch it. And with a lot of Muppet things, that was the case. You could sit down with your mom, dad, grandma, that other grandparent that just comes out of nowhere on holidays and watch something like Muppet Classic Theater, and everyone would enjoy it. Because, it's that type of program that's not just geared towards one age group like the other 1994 Jim Henson Home Entertainment Muppet releases were kind of aimed at younger children. But Muppet Classic Theater was one of those final attempts to say, the Muppets are for everybody, for all ages, and they just do a wonderful job persuading these timeless fairy tales. And, some of them are not obvious fairy tales, like the Three Little Pigs, obviously we all know that one. But, other fairy tales like, let's see, Humpty Dumpty, and all these other nursery rhymes, they could have added it, which would have made the program a lot more cheesy, but they didn't. They went another direction, took some stories that you may or may not remember hearing as a kid, and brought them for a new generation to love and enjoy, and to laugh and sing along with. And it's just a great program all around. Like I said, you wouldn't expect this to be a direct-to-video release unless you actually found it on video, Me personally, I watched it on YouTube, so I would encourage you to do it because it's Muppetastic. It's better than what Disney's doing with the Muppets nowadays, I'll tell you that much. So check it out for yourself. Muppet Classic Theater is from Jim Henson Productions, not Disney. Disney was not involved with them back in the day. Disney just distributed their stuff, some of their stuff. But this is purely Jim Henson Home Entertainment, and when it's Jim Henson Home Entertainment, it's authentically Muppet. So check it out for yourself. It's Muppet Classic Theater. Thank you. Thank you very much. Check it out.